business, if it's new to you, you've got to give it time, right? Your job is lead generation, right? So be out there like Shamika, driving, shaking hands, kissing babies, and generating business, right? Moving around. But you've got to give yourself time to understand the system. That's the challenge with going through a week-long class. Is like you feel like you've got to do all these things in 1 week's time, or you're not going to adopt it, right? And not use it. I will tell you this: if there's one thing that you do taking out of this week, focus on what we talked about on yesterday, which was building your database. If you don't do anything else this week except build, and for the next, month, which is add people to your database and share your mobile app, those are the big two things, right, that I want you to take with you. I want you to think every day I've got to build my database. Every day I've got to share my mobile app. And if you do that consistently for 90 days, everything else will start to take care of itself, because you'll organically have to start utilizing the opportunities dashboard that we're going to cover tomorrow, because you have to start building transactions, right? You're going to start doing open houses, right, where your market center tech trainer and your PC coach or videos will be able to show you how to do what we're going to cover today again, which is flyers and designs and social media posts. If you try to digest all of that when you're not using it on a regular basis, you're going to get frustrated and lost because it's so overwhelming.
It is.
On yesterday's class, contacts and smart plans and communication, right?
Right.
Contacts to relationships. That's what builds businesses. Who's got some thoughts off the first 2 days? What do you guys take away so far? Amy?
How to build my database.
What was
I
that?
like that.
Hi, Brian.
I like that everything is under one umbrella. You know, I come from a brokerage where it was like they provided everything we needed, but it was kind of spread out, multiple platforms, multiple companies. So I like that everything's just kind of integrated. I am a little bit like, we don't need to talk about it, but I am a little bit confused on like what's Connect, what's Command, what's my KW. So I will say that like I'm going to go back and watch everything. I'm a little bit of a slower learner, so we don't need to go into it, but I would say that's one thing that I'm like slightly confused about when I go to play around right now.
I get it. Remember, which we talked about on day one, is that it's the overwhelming aspect of how much there actually is, surprisingly, that we're providing for you, right? So kind of the more that we can get it all under command, the better. But even still, when it's under all in one umbrella, it does so much. It's hard to think, oh my gosh, where are all these moving parts going? Not that any one is hard to do, right? Because most of us fill in the blank. It's just the steps, right? So that's why I say give yourself time. And also why I said, and I know I fill this role for some of you on the call, right? After this week, schedule time with your market center tech trainer, because you've dove into the platform. You're doing things, again, focusing on database and data sharing, and meet with them one-on-one for an hour to fill in the blanks, right? But make sure when you meet with them that you didn't just go to the class and then schedule the meeting and not do anything, right? Go in there, be proactive, build your database, do your tags, do your share your mobile app, because what they're going to do with you, and Brian, I know you're one of mine, right? The first thing we're going to look at is like, all right, Brian, show me your database. And show me, because I can see in your database how many people have your mobile app, right? Because those are the things that I will tell you are the most important. And then we will fill in and move forward on everything else. And they, for you in your market centers, like if it's a Jerry Tricky, right? Or if it's a Dave Donaldson or it's a Ruth, right? They will fill in the gaps for you, and they will become your go-to person in your world as you build your business along with your PC coach. But Amy, I know that you were laughing and having a good time yesterday with Danny. Did you guys go back in and define and look at all those tags yesterday?
Yeah, we started a list. Yeah. So
Right.
we met after we did the training yesterday, and we're working on coming up with a game plan for how to start tagging and how she wants things grouped. And I used that slide that had all the ideas on it. So we kind of went through and picked some, and yeah.
Remember, so what you're getting are things that I've done in my world. Right, they're Dave's spin on tags and different things. It's not like there's any one right way to do things. That's just the Dave way, right?
Right.
That's what
it gave us a great like starting point of ideas, since she hasn't used tags.
Okay.
So it gave us a good starting point to start talking and have her start thinking about how she wants to, because she has so many contacts. So
right,
like how we're gonna group them.
Now, the one thing I didn't show you yesterday is that once you define all that, it's very easy to bulk tag people, right? You can add tags to hundreds of people at the same time, right? Once you organize and figure out how they are, there may be obviously some one-on-one that has to happen there, but you can filter by alphabets or different things and start bulk tagging. Or if you haven't built your database yet, the best way is to tag them on import because then they're already tagged. But if they're already in your database, if there is a little bit more labor around kind of cleaning it up, but that's okay. It's worth, I'll say the juice is worth the squeeze, right? It's worth it on the back end.
Mhm.
But those taggings, like they are meant to be, my way is meant to be thought provoking, right? Thinking about, okay, what makes sense? And as you're an individual agent, you'll have your way. And then if you are on or you run a team, right, you're going to get feedback from different people because they're going to see things differently. So allow there to be an open mindset and communication from that. And remember that there are tags and there are lead sources. They're two different things and people end up merging them together. I know I spend a lot of time talking on tags. If you get that right, I'm actually cool with it. But a lot of people end up doing lead sources too. Tomorrow, believe it or not, when we talk about opportunities, there's a whole nother tagging system that we didn't even talk about, which are opportunity tags, right? You tag your contacts, but then you also tag your opportunities. And we have a list for that too. We'll make sure that you get that tomorrow when we get into checklist and everything else.
Okay.
So Parin, Stan, welcome. Tatiana,
you.
welcome. Pictures, smiles, kissing babies. I got to see the smiling faces unless you're driving or eating, right? I don't care if you're eating. Erica, we're not eating breakfast today? No Danish today?
I try to hurry up and eat it before I got on here.
All right, anybody else has some things? No, I'd be interested, Parin, to hear. I'd be interested to hear from you because you've been through this before, right? What did you hear this week that maybe you didn't digest or hear the first time you went through the class?
I
Well,
love using the my app, and I think it works like a website. So I worked on that yesterday quite a bit. I sent it to a few clients. I had a little issue. I did email you on that, but then it cleared up. It worked. At first it didn't work, but I played with it until it started working. So I just want to make sure, like when the client gets that, and I brag about it and let them know that they have to open it or download it, and then it works. So if it doesn't work, that all that bragging is
I'll be honest, what I've seen, and I didn't see your email yesterday. That's why I wanted to talk to you today openly. To me, it comes to usage. I haven't seen any issues with the mobile app in well over a year. Nothing reported to me, nothing not functional, other than usage challenges, right? So I may be wrong because sometimes tech happens, right? But the issue with people, what I have seen with people saying, hey, it's not showing me where I am, is that when you use the app, and I'm not saying this is what happened or not, but this is in my experience. When you use the app and then you leave it and you come back, the map that shows up on your screen will always be the previous map of where you left off, right? So if you were searching in Boston or Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, that's what's going to come up on the screen until you hit the little triangle to bring you back to where you are now. And the reason it does that, okay, is because what they have studied when they put the app out in the field, the search app is what we're talking about. They didn't test it with agents because agents want different things than the consumers want, which is always a funny concept because agents think they know best and they don't. And I love that, right? But it's the consumers that provided the feedback. And what they found was when the consumers were utilizing the mobile app, they were leaving and coming back and wanted to see easily what they were previously looking at, right? They wanted to show it to somebody else and they forget, or they didn't create a collection and like and heart the house, right? And they forget how to get back to where they were. So what they did was they pre-built the system that every time you log back in, it doesn't start where you are, it starts where you were.
Yeah, it makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. So in order to move it to where you are, there's that current location button that's in the search box. If you just hit that, it'll jump to where you are.
Okay.
So that's, again, I'm making an assumption that's what you were asking about because that's typically what happens.
I'm pretty sure that I definitely did search in Boston, so that was definitely the
There you go. So feel comfortable knowing that and 4 years ago, we would roll things out, and because we were in a live beta environment, which we still practically are, there would be challenges, right? We would go from testing in a lab to small groups to rolling out to 180,000, and we were having challenges. Over the last year, predominantly everything that we've rolled out has been really, really strong. There's always glitches because now when you're talking about mobile apps, you're not just talking about the functionality of the mobile app, you're talking about adoption and utilization across multiple platforms, right?
Yes.
Droid is Droid, but Apple has all the different operating systems, depending where they are. They're all a little bit different in how they look at things. And the phones themselves are all a little bit different, right? There isn't any one standard phone, even though it's Apple or Droid. It could be a Google phone, it could be an Apple phone, right? It could be Samsung, whatever it is, or a different version of Apple's. So all of those things come into play around technology that we struggle with. Well, not me, the developers and the designers. That's not my cup of tea. All right, so we'll jump into today. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go run and get a cup of coffee. Give me 30 seconds. It's cold. I need something warm.
I like to be where Laura is. Is that a beach? You're muted.
It's just background. I wish I
Oh,
would.
it is.
Yeah.
The trees are moving. So are you live there?
No.
Oh, really? That is
It's
that's
just the
awesome.
background. That's
That's
all.
awesome because the palm trees are like wind is taking over.
Yes.
I just came back from Cancun and so I missed that.
Oh, yeah. I love Cancun. Mm. Was it nice? I haven't been there in years.
We've been to Planet Hollywood. I know it's Mexico, but
Right.
wanted to make sure, we had fun, so. And here. Yeah, but your background is amazing.
All right.
It's so cold here, so looking at that is like, oh, missed that.
All right, we're jumping into today's now. All right, we are recording. We're covering today. We're going to talk about designs and campaigns. And remember the action steps from yesterday. And this is not a one-off action step. These are things you should do every day, right? Which we kind of touched on, right? Building out your tags and getting people tagged in your database, right? Building out those custom questions, right? And answering those and getting in the habit of answering those, right? Adding people's addresses so you can start building out and utilizing the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture or monthly neighborhood nurture smart plans or Facebook smart plans, right? Those are all triggered by the data that you provided in the system and sharing that mobile app with 10 people every day, right? And then set up that call, post this class with your PC coach and Market Center tech trainer. We covered all that. Excellent. All right. Let's start off with designs. Who's familiar with Canva? Right, so we've got our Canva
Good
user.
morning. I use Canva almost all the time, not just for like now with the real estate, but to edit photos or make cards for my friends, stuff like that. So, and it's easy to use.
Yeah, it is easy to use. And I will tell you that you probably won't even abandon it completely if you're that comfortable with the user. But when it comes to a cost, there's a cost using Canva, right? And from a day-to-day utilization, a lot of the things that we can do in our version, which is called designs, works just as well as some of the things you can do in Canva. Not as good, but pretty close to a lot of them. And what you're going to see that there's some functionality that's an advantage to using designs versus using Canva, okay? And now on the flip side, now we won't be able to cover everything as, imagine a Canva class, how long that would take. So I can't go over everything today, but if you think about the functionality that you do in creation and sharing, you can do a lot of that, right? More importantly, for the agents that aren't creative, which is not my skill set, right? There's 1,500 plus templates in there that are already available for you that are categorized into social and print and email. All those things already exist, so you don't have to start from scratch, which you can. The other great thing is that all the pictures are already in the system, right? So if your listing is active, right, we are able to pull those photography, all those pictures from the MLS, so you don't have to upload them into a Canva design like you would. So those are some of the subtle differences. And thirdly, if you've created something that you want to utilize in Canva, you can actually upload a design, a PDF into our designs and either use it straight up or edit it because there's a built-in PDF editor writer, like an Adobe writer. So as long as you have the original source and you're not just scanning something off of a copy machine, that's not going to work. But if you've got the original source, like a Canva design, you'll actually be able to edit it inside the system. So that's some of the benefits of something that we have like us. Now, our designs is through our partner company called WeBrand. Other than knowing their name, it doesn't really matter all that much, just knowing that that's one of the things that we partner with and didn't design from scratch ourselves. All right, so that's WeBrand. You have the ability to utilize some of their video templates, social media, print, email, or import your source, which I was just touching on. We'll walk through those things. There are 1,500 options, print, email, social, that are already available for you. Holiday cards, thank you cards, magazines, listing presentations, buyer presentations, luxury material. There's so much in there. I'm just going to show you where they live. We won't obviously be able to cover all of them, but you're going to want to spend some time checking out the different things that are available to you in the system. Okay. Your brand matters, right? One of the great things about being with our organization is that you get to brand yourself or your team, right? It's not about the red and white KW. It's about you and your team. Right? That's why you don't see a lot of KW marketing or advertising on the street, because they don't spend money to do that, because they don't charge you to do that. They allow you to do that because you're the business, not KW. Does that make sense? Right? A lot of other organizations, it's all about the brand, the company brand. At KW, it's about your brand. So inside of designs, you get to build your own brand. We're going to kick off with that. So think about headshots, logos, team pictures, monument pictures or static pictures that you use for all of your marketing material, fonts, colors. You get to build all that so it's readily accessible for you to use over and over and over again in your imagery. Okay. All right, so we're going to jump in now to design. So today's going to be a little bit different. I want you to pay more attention to the screen than what you're doing at home. I don't want you to fall behind. If you're following along on your own computer, that's cool. But I'd really rather today you see the process flow than try to recreate, because there's a lot in building a design, as you can imagine. And I'd rather kind of get comfortable seeing what it can do without actually knowing like this is how to do it at this point in time. Is that cool? But if you want to run with it and you're comfortable, go ahead. I just don't want you to fall behind. All right, so we're going to log out of here. And I always like to share this. I'm going to put this in. So remember, we talk about answers.kw.com. Here's a link to the designs page in answers.kw.com, just as a quick link for you guys. You know, how to get started, listing presentation, ordering prints, all the things that I'll highlight today. These are all the how-to articles inside of Answers. And I just put that inside a chat for you. So that's available to you. All right. So when I'm going to go into my commands now, which is on the screen, I do have the screen up, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Left-hand side. Okay. Designs, the little paintbrush here, that's designs. I'm going to go in there. Now it'll pause because when you go to designs, you're actually leaving commands. Right? You're going to WeBrand, which is our partner's platform, although it is subtly integrated inside a command. Your screen when you get here will be different because I've got designs that I've built previously that'll show up on the screen, which are my templates. Yours will be blank if you haven't built anything yet. Okay. On the upper right-hand side, you're going to see import design and you're going to see create. I'm going to talk to create first, but import is what you would do if you were uploading a PDF, like something like you created already in Canva that you wanted in the system, right? There's two reasons you would do an import. One, to edit something that you already created. And two, because you can import that Canva design if it was like an eBet or you wanted to incorporate in some of your emails and send it out through command. So those are two different ways why you would use an import feature. All right, so we're going to go into create design and it's going to ask me, what am I building? Right, this is how it knows what designs it's going to offer you because there's so many, it's categorized. Am I going to do an email design? Am I going to do a social media post, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, right? Am I going to print something, a listing presentation, a flyer, a buy, right? Listing or buyer presentation, a magazine, right? You have the ability to create a magazine, which I absolutely love. And video. This video, okay, and I'm actually going to do this first just so we can get it out of the way, is not what you're thinking. It's not like, all right, it's me talking on camera. It's nothing of the sorts. It's actually just a cute little neighborhood video that you can create that where it pulls live marketing data, sales in areas where you may specialize or that you wanted to share with your consumers. And every month it'll upload new data based off of transactions. So let's just take a quick look at that takes about 60 seconds to generate, and it's about a 60-second video. So don't worry about your face on camera or your voice, because that's not what this is, okay? All right, so if I click on video, continue, it's going to ask me to search for a neighborhood, right? So we base our data off of neighborhoods, not zip codes at this scale, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and type in a neighborhood. If I type in Pemmon Hills, it'll show up on the list, okay? Next. It's going to pull the data that it has in the system. Now, here's what I will always tell you with any type of automation is trust but verify. I get pushback, oh, that's not accurate. Okay, I get that. You can always go back to your MLS, right? You can run neighborhood data and type anything you want in these cells if you feel that these are inaccurate. Understanding that anything you look on any website is too accurate to a degree. It's never perfect, right? Based on when and how regulators pulling that data in. So if you feel you need to change it, you have the ability to do that. But the consumers may or may not understand the information they're looking at, but you're giving them something to see.
Is the data from the MLS like?
Chrome Ron.
Huh? Yeah, so what it does is we don't pull directly in a roundabout way we get data. We get the next door boundaries, right? Remember, boundaries are not marketing, community marketing. So that's kind of also what scales us a little bit in the agent's minds. But it takes those maps and those territories and it looks at the data that KWLS pulls from the MLS for solds and actives. And it in the back end pulls all those numbers together. Now, where I've seen challenges, and I think they're still working on some of that, some of these numbers in certain territories are affected by when you see a dramatic difference of like, oh, that can't be right. It's because sometimes they have bleed over from rentals that took place, and how they're posted and recorded in the MLS affects the data. So that's typically when I see a big skew of maybe the home price is too low, or right, it's because it's pulling rental data, release data into the number, where you might want to go back and say, hey, I know that's off, let me tweak that out. All right, so again, average home price, is it on the rise? Is it on the decline, or is it holding steady? Well, I think we're kind of holding steady in most markets right now, right? Some may still be on the rise. Very few are actually on decline, right? What decline is a relative word. Average price per house, average number of homes currently for sale, and average days on market. Right? That's easily verifiable through you can run a quick MLS report for yourself if you want to worry about it. Neighborhood features. This is pulled by a third party that the community said, this is the things that our neighborhood has. Some of them are really weird. You have to have 3. You can go in and edit those, right? Whatever that may be. You can go ahead and click and change these out, but you can only have 3 and you have to have 3. Can't have less, can't have more, okay? It automatically pulls your information from your bio. Remember when we talked about is building your profile yesterday, Monday, and turning on that green toggle button at the top in your command bio? It shares to all these other platforms inside of command. So you have to make sure that your headshot and your contact information is all there. It'll pull across, right? I don't know why my phone number is not showing up, but you know, things happen, right? I'll just go ahead and answer that in. And your markets brokerage, again, pulling from your company profile will show up there. Right? If it's blank and you're doing this, it's because you're missing stuff on your profile. Click next, and now that's it. Now it's going to take a couple seconds. It's going to generate the video. That was simple, right? Again, we're just filling in the blanks. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit play just so you can see what it looks like if you were to share this with a consumer or online. Notice the date is today. Prices popping up. Average price per square foot. Total number of homes for sale. Average days on market. That 3 local information that I shared with you, 1, 2, 3. Numbers again on a mobile app. your contact information. And done. What'd you think about that?
Cool.
Cool, simple, easy, right? No, you can't. And here's what the other is. The only thing you can change are the numbers, or those three things. You can't change the view, you can't change the music, you can't change the graphics, you can't change anything, right? All you can change are the numbers or your contact information.
Do the numbers and graphics change over time, or is it always this video?
Now, once you create it, that's why I showed you the date in the beginning. It's this month, right? So if you want to create one each month as an updated thing, you would need to create a new one each month. Because once you download it, it's already created. It's not a live static feed like a search or something where it's constantly pulling in new data.
But is the next one, is it's like the same song and the same?
That's what I'm saying. Everything's the same. Yeah, that's, it's okay. It's cool for what it is. It's a simple touch. It's cute. But yeah, it's not dynamic enough that, hey, every month it's going to look a little bit different. It's been this way since we've had it now, maybe 3 years. It's cool that we have it, but it's one of those things where we have, and once we launched, they haven't applied a lot of like, let's kind of keep cleaning this up and doing things on the back end. So you get to decide how regularly do I want to do these, run these, whatever, right? That's up to you. But then you would save it. Okay, you'll see it here. Then you can use it in campaigns, share on social, you can make a copy, or you could actually download it. And you'll be able to put them on any platform. If I download it, I can upload it on the Facebook and things like that. TikToks or wherever else you want. I think that actually like a 60-second one is actually kind of a cool little TikTok or an Instagram story or something like that. But if that's all you did for all your neighborhoods and cluttered up your page, that song will drive you crazy. So be careful with how often you use it, right? That's why I like it. If I'm going to do it, I'll do what I've done in the past. Okay, so I might do a post like, hey, here's the updated information for Pemmon Hills. Would you like to know what's going on in your neighborhood? Send me your zip code or send me your neighborhood. People respond like, yeah, give me my data. And then you could create it and send it to them directly that's specific to them and not post it all over social media.
So is that goes as an attachment or does it go?
It depends on how you share it. If I put it on Facebook, the video is going to play, right? If I attach the link in an email, then it'll be a click through to a video download. Right, so it all depends on what they're looking at it on. Right, it'll play live like when you on your Facebook page. If you took and downloaded that link and then put it in Facebook, the video player will pop up. It'll be there live.
This might be off the subject. I don't want to go off the subject, but I've designed things and I wanted to send like, Labor Day or something for clients, Veterans Day for military clients. And then it's gone as an attachment, which I tried so hard to make it like a live, send it live, but
honestly, Farwin, that's going to come down to how you're sharing it, right? Some things, if I just attach to an email, it's going to go as an attachment. If I upload it on Facebook, and that's why it's important to know that I create an email design, that I create a social design, that I create a print design, because they're scaled and formatted a certain way. And how am I actually sharing it, right? If I take a social design and I try to share in an email, it's going to come up as an attachment, right? If I take an email and try to send it as a social post, it's not going to square as right. So it all really comes down to your delivery vehicle, right? Versus the button and what you chose to send. Won't be able to get into all the how-tos and sharing and what's that comes to day-to-day usage in this class. But that's certainly something the next time you're ready to design something, schedule some time and we can walk through that, okay? But understanding that what you share and how you share it matters, right? Not just what I designed. And that's, I think, usage and understanding for a lot of people is understanding that all of these things, technologically speaking, are dynamic and they're meant to be used in a specific format. And if you lack of how am I using all these formats, you may run into and think this isn't working, but it really comes back to how am I delivering it? And that's okay. That's why we have people here to help, right? Knowing that it does certain things and then going, okay, I know Dave said I can share these things, but I'm not sure how to tie it all together. You're not going to learn in a 1-hour class or 2-hour class today, right? That's going to come through repetition and practice. And if you need a one-on-one with that, your Market Center tech trainer or your PC coach, they'll be more than happy to walk you through it. In this case, you happen to be one of my Market Centers, so that's okay.
Hey, Dave, a quick question.
Yes, Dan.
That Emmett Hills that you chose, was that a subdivision or just a specific area?
Now, remember, we don't use subdivisions, right? We don't use marketing master plan communities, right? Inside of command, it uses neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods are defined by the people that live in the communities. So there's a company called Nextdoor.
Mhm.
Nextdoor was our partner to defining these boundaries. It was just the easiest way for KW to get in to start to define territories because all the MLSs and tax records are not easily accessible. So the boundaries that you're seeing are not master plan, they're not subdivisions, they are neighborhoods that you would see if you were actually on nextdoor.com that were designed by the people that live there. It's another pushback that agents have. These aren't right. They're right to the people that design them and live there. They're not right because you're used to looking at things in a certain way in the MLS. There's a disconnect, right? So the boundaries may or may not be right for a particular neighborhood, or the name of the neighborhood may vary from what we think of it, okay? But it's designed by the people that live there. And there's no way to edit them as a realtor, okay? Unless you live in the community, right? You have to live in the community to change and make effect change to any of these boundary markers. And you have to be an administrator for that community on Nextdoor. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's good.
So thanks for asking the question because that is missed on a lot of people. And I want you to understand it has nothing to do with master plan community subdivisions that you would look at and search for in the MLS. That's why no, it's not available for this particular video. But the other things that we looked at yesterday with like search space, it was either neighborhood, zip code, or a draw, right? The draw is the bypass that allows agents to kind of go and go, hey, this is actually the community because it may split zip codes or the neighborhoods themselves might be split. But in this video, you don't have that option. It's just going with the neighborhood.
I understand. Thank you.
Mhm. All right.
When did the partnership happen with Nextdoor?
It's been years. It's maybe been 3 or 4 years. All right, so let's go ahead now. Let's go ahead and jump into print, right? Because most of you guys might do some sort of an open house or a flyer or something like that, okay? So if you look at print, I'm going to start over. I'm going to click continue. You'll see it flash. It's going into rebrand now. And I'll walk you through the layout. Remember, I'm looking at print, okay? So the formatting is going to be different. I can't necessarily take something that's print and then post it to Facebook. It's not going to format properly, right? The first thing we're going to look at here once this cycles up is your branding. And we'll see that across the top here. Come on, load up. Stream and load. My computer needs coffee. Come on. Stop sharing for a second. Sometimes that affects my load times.
Mine does that when I get signed out. Somehow I've been on the session too long or something.
Rainy days, network issues, all the above.
Mhm.
Let's give it a quick kick in the pants and reboot it. Oh. Something's going on. All right. Assets. All right, so remember when I started talking about branding your brand, you have the ability to build a library of information on the back end of your site. Okay, so when you come in, you log in, across the top, you'll see templates, images, designs, and assets. So under assets, it'll land on colors and fonts. You can build your own color palettes, right? You may have a color palette that's for your business. You may have a color palette that has different shades for luxury or commercial, where you can build different color palettes. That will come in handy as you're creating some of your different designs, right? So you would literally just hit add palette here, and then you would add different colors to your drop down that you could either use, right, the RGBs, right? These are scales or SKUs. I could pick a color directly off of this screen itself, or if I have the the hex code, right? Depending on what your design levels are, you'll understand that these codes all have different markers to identify what they are. It's kind of like walking into a Sherwin-Williams store, right? There's a certain pin code. These are color codes. Or you could just go through the shadows of the screen and pick the different colors. Hey, I like that. Entirely up to you, right? You'll also see here that there are fonts. If there are specific fonts that you want to use, there are some that are in the system, or you can upload fonts and choose them off the website, or even go out and buy fonts. If there are specific fonts that you use for your business, you can upload a font style. Okay, gives you that control. Images and logos, they're two different things, right? Images are things that you'll incorporate picture-wise into your different designs, right? I talked about having headshots and the importance of headshots, different sizes, different. A lot of agents are now into multiple different style shots for their branding, right? So you'll see those. I've uploaded a couple images here. I've got different QR codes that I use that drive things to different pages. I've got things that I use on a regular basis. I've loaded into my designs. For you, it could be any, like there's a certain pool shot or a bathroom shot or an exterior shot that you use all the time to reflect your business. You can load those things so they're readily available. Text, right? What information do you use over and over again in your marketing, right? Phone number, email address, website, your slogan, your bio, right? Your name, business address, company name. So you can add all these different text drops and say, these are things that I use all the time. So I can just grab and drag them when I'm going to incorporate them into designs. So that's what the text is. Logos are logos, right? Market Center logo, team logo, different versions of the logos, right? You'll see here. Does anybody know the difference between a PNG and a JPEG? Would you like to know?
Yes.
Okay. So you see how this has a white backdrop to the logo? That's a JPEG. A JPEG always has a box around it, right? It'll always have an image over a white background that when I put it on top of something, the white box will always show up behind it. And that's frustrating sometimes where you want bleed through, right? I just want my lead through. So in order to do that, which is what you see here with these full gray checkered backgrounds, those are PNG files. That means when I put this image on top of another image, there will be bleed through and no white box.
So
that's
that
What's the name of that one?
that's what I wasn't.
PNG. So it's either .jpeg, .jpeg is the white box, .png, okay, is the bleed through. So you can't just take I couldn't take this JPEG and just say, hey, I changed the .png. You actually have to have a PNG file, or you have to have a JPEG file, right? So your logos for your branding, your market centers, right? They all have different versions that are JPEG, PNG. And if you're into graphic web design, there's even an EPS, which you guys really don't need to worry about. But those are the different types of logos when you're using them. So you know the difference, that you won't get frustrated over a white backdrop not doing what you want. It's because the file type you have is not going to allow you to do what you may want to do, which is bleed through. Okay. So that's just kind of a little food for thought. The other things, you can add elements, right? For some of you that like certain stickers and balloons and pops, that's not my thing, but you can choose different elements that are that you use readily all the time. Stars, pop-ups, all those things. Videos, if you had a video file, you could load your own video files. And if there were specific graphics that you previously designed that you connect through a Dropbox or something, you could sync the Dropbox here through files, so I can quickly go get things. So that's brand assets. Okay, again, go ahead and play with it. Always use, I'll share this, right? I always like to share the supporting documentation. Assets, I'm gonna put this in chat for you guys. Quick links to information about how to use the different elements and what I'm loading and designing inside of designs for the assets. All right. Now, if I go back to templates,
Oops, what did I do?
I don't know. What did you do?
I hit my screen and I lost you.
I must
Okay,
wanna do hit refresh.
okay, there I am.
Where do you get the KW logos from?
Market Center. Yeah, you talk to your Market Center tech trader, PC coach, AC, DFI. They'll have them on the file. They can show you where to get them, right? Because every Market Center has a different logo. Most of them have different logos. Some don't have logos at all. And they'll have the different version and file types for you to be able to download. Stop sharing again. Pardon the lag today.
Thank you.
It's just how it goes sometimes, right? Shut down some of these other things that I have open. That helps. All right, so now I went back in, and actually this time instead of print, I actually chose a social design. So just so you know. And notice that every time I log in, I was just showing you assets, but when it opens up, it'll open up in templates. So templates are pre-created designs that are available to you based off of the format that you chose, right? Social, email, print. On the left-hand side are different types of designs, right? Listing, inspired, lead generation, basics, leadership, holidays, right? All the holidays are in there, right? So if I said, hey, show me October holidays, I'm gonna see much of Halloween stuff, right? Happy Bosses Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, Halloween's, Sharada Navarati, which I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with that one, but here's the kind of really cool thing about KW and all this material is that they're all inclusive, right? So they will, if there's a holiday for whatever the holiday is, they're going to have some sort of design for it. So it makes your lives a little bit easier. So you don't have to go out and create things. Take notice that these posts, these social posts, right, are formatted in different sizes, right? So there's post, right, for like a Facebook post, and then there's the storyboard size. So don't try to jam a storyboard size Instagram post or Facebook story into just a regular Facebook post because they're not going to format right. So be conscious of what you're doing. And you have the ability across the top to filter through stories or squares, right, or wide. And it goes the same for any of these on the left, right? If I was doing a listing post, coming soon, for sale, just listed, just sold, right? I've got all these different template types to post. Now, these are all pretty generic, right? They're just, that's not your kitchen, that's not your just, they're just templates. What I didn't show you in the beginning was, but I told you, is that you have the ability to use the pictures from your listing or whatever listing you're trying to advertise. It doesn't have to be your listing, it could be a KW listing, right? If you have permission, right? Or whatever that is, because all the listings are in the system. So let's just kind of take a just sold for an example, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do a social square. Okay, so I'm going to choose one of these, and I'm just going to use this just sold picture, right? I don't know, and this sold in 10 days. When I click use, I'm going to see the template, Okay. And then on the left-hand side, what I'm going to see are the templates, text, logos, elements, all those assets that I might have loaded up. Right, they'll show up. Right, and if I'm going to put my picture on there, see, I've got that use image. I just hit the plus button, and maybe I put it on picture somewhere. Right. Just fun little things like, or I might have that logo, because remember we talked about having logos, like my bleed through logo. I can drag and put that on the top. Right. See the difference there, right? JPEG versus, I'm sorry, JPEG versus PNG. Now, there's a default picture here. There's also a text box here, right? That 10 days. I could change that 10 days, right? So when I click on that, right, I can literally just go right in there, change it to 8 days, or leave it at 10 days, whatever. I like this element at the top. See where it says typewriter? Because I have trouble with my eyes learning a certain font size at times. If I go to typewriter, pops up on the right-hand side, I can easily change it by just changing there. Sold in 8 days. And my formatting gets off a little bit, but just have to play with it, right? It's a WYSIWYG, right? It's like anything else, you kind of have to play with it. It's not going to be perfect, right? You got to play with things a little bit. But on the flip side, because it's completely open and you might not be comfortable, you might find yourself dragging things around. So that's the challenge of dealing with something that's formatted that you have open control to. You end up moving things around that you didn't necessarily want to move around. But my example here is just kind of show you how easy it is to move things around. Now, the other thing that's on here is this big picture in the background of that house, right? Well, wouldn't it be really nice if the picture was actually of the house that I sold in 8 days and not just this random design picture? That'd be cool to do that, right? It would be kind of senseless to not do that. So here's how you do that. See this KWLS? You remember that I told you that all the pictures are available for you, right, to advertise. So what you do is you go to KWLS and you search for your property. Does anybody have an active listing right now that they gave me an address of? All right, I'll just make one up. I can search by address or MLS number, right? It's like 123 Main Street. There's usually one of those somewhere. Remember, it's national. So it's going to search by address if you misspell something, right? And it's going to try to find what you're looking for. And it's all over. So it's not just going to look in Arizona. We're not in Arizona. Fairfax. Let's just try Fairfax. There we go. So I'll just grab one. Let's just grab this one. Select. So now I get all the pictures associated with that property. See how quickly they all loaded? Now check this out. So maybe I want to change this exterior for this exterior. Okay, when I click on this picture in this box, so you had, see, there was an overlay. Like that white box overlay was preventing me from getting to the actual picture behind it. Did you see that? This is why you have to play with things sometimes. When I was able to shuffle that over a little bit, I was able to get to the picture in the background and click on the actual picture. And notice what changed now. I now have this little circle swap. The circle swap lets me change picture for picture without having to click. Like when I added my photo, it was over top of it, right? This is changing the actual picture. That's what those little circles mean. So when I click on that, watch what happens. And then just drag that border back to where it was. Now the formatting, the size is a little bit off, so be conscious of the picture type that you're using, right? Because it's going to fit to the box. So you may have to scale or move it and edit it. That's where you just got to play with things a little bit. It's only going to work with what it's got. And the challenge with MLS pictures, right, is that they're usually, a lot of agents don't use high quality pictures, right? Low picture scale pixels affects the usage. So you're going to be limited to the pictures that are in the MLS. Also, if you use the high res picture, which is best, right, to a degree, MLS is going to format those down to a smaller size because of the amount of data storage they're using on the internet. So you're going to be restricted. So yes, it's great that all the pictures are there, but you're going to be limited in the quality of the picture based on what was provided. Does that make sense? You don't need to be a picture person, but I'm just kind of telling you why you might be limited on some of the things you're doing. Same thing. Notice, remember, I drugged my logo over here, but if I didn't want that, you'll notice that's already formatted with the logo in there, but it says DBA. I can click on that and I can swap out my logo. That's the beautification of this whole thing, is the easeability in which I can swap out images based off of what's already in the system, whether they're my assets, right, which is what I pulled here, or they were KWS assets, right, which I see pictures, but I also have the listing details, right? Address, price, bedrooms, baths, that's all there. And if I wanted to include that here, I could either A, type it, or B, drag it over, right? So you're gonna have to make a decision when you're putting things in your building out, what's easier for you? Is it easier for me to type this information, or is it easier for me to swipe and drag these? No right or wrong, it's just on what it looks like and how you wanna go about doing it. Some things I swipe, some things I would just go in, right? And I might do a text box or something like that and paste the different images. I'm going to give you an action step. I want you to spend some time going in and trying to create different things, right? If you wait, like anything else, if you wait to do a design for the time that you need a design for a listing or an open house or just listing or just sold, is it going to be easier or harder for you to do it at that point in time? Please.
Harder.
Harder.
Right, harder, because you're going to be stressed because it's the first time you're doing it, or second or third time. You're going to be under pressure because there's time constraints to doing it, because you're trying to get something up in a period of time. And I know that you all allow yourself a proper amount of time to get things done. You never wait to the last minute, right? You're all proactive and get things. Yeah, Stan's like, he knows me because I am you. Like, I'm the same way. I'm always last minute. I'm always in reactive mode. I got it. But you've got to be smart, people, right? You've got to utilize the tools and practice the tools before you ever go live with the tools. Go in there, create a design, right? Create a social media post. I don't care what property, it doesn't matter, right? Just go in and play with the design so you get comfortable in the different things, right? Walk through the different elements like I showed you, right? Play with these different click-throughs. I'm not even going to jump into animation, right? I just want to keep it simple for you guys right now. But know that animation is something that's now in the system, right? You can change colors, right? So I can change overlay, like this text box is white. So that's why I said this little white box up in here, right? I could change the color because I have a library of colors. Right? Remember we built those different templates of colors? I can say I want it to be this green. Right? Changed it because that was my primary color, right? Maybe I want that color instead of, right? I want it to be, I actually love this aspect. This is a little thing. See this little teardropper down here at the bottom? This I actually love. If I grab that, okay? See how it's on my screen, this little teardrop? And I say, you know what? I actually want this gray that's over here. I can actually click on the gray and added it to my color wheel. There we go. So I now have that color gray right here. I added it to my color wheel by just taking that little droplet and grabbing the color. That's a little lighter shaded, but you can use that droplet to grab colors from anywhere. So that's just another little fun thing that you wouldn't know about unless I kind of said, hey, take a look at this little other aspect. All right, let's go back. How would I save this, right? So I would hit done. I would obviously change the name here to do a save as, right? If I was working on it, I wanted to share it with somebody, right? I could share this, right? Anyone with a link, I could share it to Facebook or Instagram. Now, again, this comes to the part when you were saying this earlier, if I share something, right? You have to understand systems and how things work to a degree. So I point them out where I can. If I was to post this directly to Facebook, Facebook's going to see the link and post the link. Remember, Facebook, when you add images and I drag and drop images to my post, it'll show the thumbnail to show the image. If I just share directly with the link, it's going to share the link. So I know that in my head that hey, if I want something to show up the way that I want it to, instead of just sharing the link directly to Facebook, okay, I would actually download the image and then load it to Facebook. So that's, again, understanding how those external platforms function. It's not necessarily command or rebrand, it's how those other platforms look at the media, the things that you're sharing. So just a touch there.
I am gonna schedule a time because I have problem with delivery. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're here for, right? And then you hit done and you would save this image, right, that you created. But you see how easy that is. Now I want to show you some of the other options of what I think are important for you guys. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can get my print page to load. We're my Canva people. You see how easy that was and how important it was to kind of pull in the listings and all that data, right? It's a nice little ad, right? So it's knowing that, and you can create things from scratch. I usually don't jump into it in this class because most people aren't going to utilize that. I'll kind of show you where it's at, but you could also build your own stuff from scratch in here. But I do want to bring up a print option with you real quick because I think print's important. Let me get that to load. All right. And I'm just going to kind of show you some of the things that I think you need to know about that are in the system. Print, it's going to load today. Not quickly anyways. All right, here we go. Let me share this. All right, so I'm in designs again. I chose a print design. And then I came to the left-hand side under listings and I went to listing presentation. These are your listing presentations, right, that you could use. Okay. Have you guys created listing presentations in the past? A buyer presentation, right? There are 5 different templates that KW provides you for a listing presentation, right? There are buyer presentations as well. Right? They're booklet size. And they're different colors. Basically, the content's the same, it's the format that changes, right? So don't worry about tripping up like, hey, well, what is this one versus this one? The only real difference, and I do recommend you look through them, it's usually color and layout, but the content's going to be the same. So if I was going to print one of these, I probably wouldn't use this all black one because I'm going to use a boatload of black ink. But if it was something that I might just share online or share through an email or on my tablet, I might use that one because I like it. So, because I know that I have to pay for color copies, right? So I'm conscious of what I'm utilizing. And sometimes white is just crisp. So let's go ahead and use this guide to home ownership. This is definitely something that I want. If you can do a listing or buyer presentation, you can create anything else because they're the most dynamic, because they do more. You're going to have a template, right? This template for the listing presentation or the buyer presentation, they're like 10 to 16 pages. You don't have to use them all, but you should know what's there. Okay. So again, it'll default to images that I can load on this homepage. If I go to templates here at the top, I'll see all the pages that are available for this particular design, right? There are 32 pages. It's not showing up. Okay, here we are, sorry. On the right-hand side. So here's all the pages. Page 1, page 2. Page 2 is basically an instruction. This is for you. So don't print this and include this. That's why it's important to read. Look at what each page has to offer, because most of them need some sort of edit, right? And this one is kind of telling you what you could be utilizing on the pages ahead, and then you would remove it, right, from the actual design when you're done. Right, I want to delete pages.
So what did you hit to show the content?
On the right-hand side, that said 32 pages. I just clicked and bumped it open.
Okay.
Let's close these here. See here on the bottom right-hand side, it says pages.
Yes.
I click on pages. Oh, I went back too far.
Okay.
That's nuts. I'll share this in chat with you guys. Again, another quick link, how to create a lesson presentation. Loading. Questions so far while this reloads for you guys? Okay. You guys,
I was just gonna say earlier when you were talking about when you accidentally move stuff. I do that a lot. And the undo button is very important.
yes, you're right. I didn't put that little squirrely undo.
Yeah,
button.
yeah.
Life easier.
Very helpful when you accidentally do something and you don't know what you did, then click that, then go back to what you didn't mess up.
And that's like the things, like I am not a graphic designer, right? So it always takes me a little bit longer, and I know that's there, but I forget about things like that sometimes, right? All right, we bring this back up. I know I'm not sharing screen, just give me 1 second. All right. So the functionality, whether you're in a social media design or a print design, the editing functionality is exactly the same, right? Click, swap, add pictures, whatever that looks like, right? So here we're at the guide to home ownership, right? So again, I might, first name, last name, that would be the client's name, right? I've got my toolbox or my typewriter at the top, so I might just change their name right here. Okay, changes it right on the thing. I got my logo here, right? Unit Realtors, right? That particular thing I would swap out with my team logo, right? If I had a team, or I would just delete it. Because I'm not on a team, so I wouldn't have a team logo. But in this particular case, so here's that undo button that Amy was talking about. Undo what I just did. If that was my logo, right? I'll swap that out. But you see how easy it is to change those things in this little rotational, but making sure you're on, you got to make sure you're deliberate. Otherwise, if I just click, it'll paste versus swapping it out if I actually click on the cell. That's just a little skill set. So as you walk through these pages, which is what you need to do, because I'm not going to work you through all 32 pages, you got to read what's in here. Okay, and this is where I see a lot of times people call me all frustrated. They send something out to their consumers that's got generic content on it, and they didn't even read what was in the document they were sending. Like, I sent this out, it did load all my information. I'm like, it doesn't load information automatically. It loads a template. You've got to go in and edit these things, right? So scroll through the pages. You may like some of the pages, you may not like some of the pages. You can remove them. Okay. When you get advanced, you can insert your own pages, right? We're not going to cover that, but once you get skilled, you can start uploading custom pages if you wanted to, right? There's the client page, right? Which I would include a picture of their house, right? Table of contents, right? You're going to have some, basic information about working with you and how you do your business. This is all editable, right? What I recommend from a listing and a buyer presentation standpoint is you go in here, you create one that's like 80 or 90% of the way done. It's got your imagery, it's got the way you do business, it's got your color schemes, it's got all of those things in there for you. And then you just take that last 10% across the finishing line when you schedule out those appointments, because you can make a copy, right? Once I've taken the template, I made it personalized to myself, I would save it and I would call it my template, right? And then when I log in the designs on that homepage for templates, I'll have this. I make a copy of it and I name it, instead of my template, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listing. And I edit it to make it specific for that listing. So you always have your master template of yours, right? It's a copy of a copy. And then you take that last 10% and you customize it for that particular listing or buyer presentation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you see the importance of understanding that, hey, I really kind of have to get in here and play with some of these things and not just think that I'm going to take a listing. Like if I had a listing appointment tonight, and this is the first time I played with this, you're going to struggle, right? You're not going to lock this out tonight, right? You're going to kind of freak out and you're going to have to get some help. But if you knew that you were taking a listing presentation tomorrow or the day after, right? You've got time. You've got to allow yourself time to go in here and play with this. All right. So important to go in here, especially the print designs, and say, what's there? What do I want to use and how do I make it my own? Now, in this particular aspect, if you're brand new to real estate, you should talk to your PC coach. You should talk to your team leader or ATL, like, you know what, or a mentor, whoever you have in your world that's helping you build your business and work with you in your business. What do I really need? Or what's important here? What do I need to have on display when I'm going to talk to my consumers? That's why those people are in your world, right? Because again, just like on the social media design, every one of these pages are open and editable, right? Some of the content you may change, some of you might not. Checklists may change, but static content, you might not want to change any of it. So you know what? I like what this says. But here's another perfect example that if you're not reading each page, visit your website here. Well, there's no website there, right? I have to put my website domain name there, right? So read each page before you send them out to the consumer. Then you would save it and you would download it and print it, right? You would take this on the go. Now, there are two different things that I do. Sometimes we have appointments that will pop up out of the blue, and you may not have time to fully edit the design. So if you had a standard My Listing template that was done, but it was more generic, I can just print those off and go, right? They're not going to be custom to the person I'm going to meet, but it's something I have. Here's my, I can walk them through my buying presentation, although it didn't get fully customized for them because that happens sometimes. So think through all the things you may need, right? I need a template that will allow me to customize it, and then I need one I can grab and go. Have 10 of those printed off in your office if you're ready to run with it, right? Questions on any of the print, right? You see it's straightforward. Everything is mapped out here. Again, I think you're seeing the importance of understanding that I have the ability to add stars, shapes. This is more advanced stuff, right? Amy, you'll recognize these formats. I could put pictures inside of pictures that are formatted, right? I could add additional text boxes, subtypes. I can do the same things with pictures here. It's like, understand your audience, right? Who, if I'm going to take a listing and it might be a single person, I might not want to reflect family imagery, right? Know your audience, right? I can go in here into these images and knowing that while I have my assets, there's also stock images in here, right? So you can choose through these provided stock pictures and swap out any of the pictures that are already there for you. So if you think of like Getty Images or Pixels or different websites where you go get stock imagery, we provide stock imagery for you. So if you don't like the pictures that are provided, go change it out or use your own. Maybe you've got some great photos from a listing previously that you might incorporate, that you love that kitchen or you love that yard. You know, that's always the best because stock images are used, other people are using them, right? These generic images, everybody's using them, right? Imagine the situation. Imagine Amy and I going in to take a listing, and Amy and I are working together. We're in competition, even though we're both with KW, and we both use this listing presentation, and neither of us make changes to this imagery, and we give the same exact listing presentation. It would be a little embarrassing, right? It's generic. You're better than that. So customize these templates to represent you and your business, right? Even though the formatting may be the same, that's okay. But swapping out images and customizing them for yourself is what separates you apart. That's why we give you the full automation control to go in there and change these things. Now, I know a lot of you might have VAs. A lot of you might have support in your market centers. A lot of you might have them through your PC program. Leverage those people, please. Especially if you're graphically challenged like myself, right? That's not what I do, right? Time is money. So sometimes having other people do them for me makes sense, but time is money. Time costs money too, right? New agents are always very conscious about telling you when to spend money. So I do want you to learn how to do these things. But at some point in your life, when your business is busy enough, right? If you don't have a lot of business, take the time to learn the tools. If you're in production and you're doing 3-4 deals a month, you may find your busy work, know how to get leverage in your work. Right? This is one of those things where leverage will be of value. Right? Have a virtual assistant. Right? I have one. Right? Because I'm at a point in my life where having a virtual assistant makes sense. As a new agent, it did not make sense for me. So I learned how to use my tools because I was cost conscious, as you should be. Right? If you're not doing 2 to 3 deals a month, you've got a lot of downtime, don't you? Let's be real about that. You aren't so busy at 2 or 3 deals a month that you don't have time to do things. If you do, then that's your issue. Isn't lack of time. Your issue is time blocking and proper use of time. All right, so this is designs. I do want to show you. Go ahead.
Let's say I'm so busy and I needed to get an assistant. Are all of these videos and everything there, they can take these if they're not licensed, right?
Of course, the videos are public and your assistant's your assistant. When you grow your team to have an assistant, you can get them their own login, so they're not logging in.
Say I'm just by myself and I don't have a team, but I need an assistant.
Right, you could still have an assistant as a solo agent. It would have to be a team.
Okay.
And they can have their own login credentials, which is what you want to do.
Okay.
You don't want
But I
them.
have to do that through the office, correct?
Yeah, you just tell them to make, hey, I've hired an admin, and they'll turn your account into a solo agent account plus admin. So the admin
Okay.
own KW login credentials.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
I understand. Thanks.
Yeah, there's 3 different levels, right? There's an individual agent status. There's an individual agent plus admin status, which is not a team, right? So it doesn't affect your rankings and status for production. And then there's actually team status, which means it's you, an admin, and multiple people. Just in case if anybody's wondering. All right.
Thank you.
One other thing I do want to show you inside the designs, again, the best thing is just going to play around with them, is that there's a magazine in there. I like to just show you the magazine. Now, the functionality of the magazine works just like the listing and buyer presentation, right? It's formatted, it's 16 pages long. Is anybody familiar with a company called Reminder Media or American Lifestyle Magazine?
Remind both.
Right. Well, American Lifestyle is a brand of Reminder Media, right?
Yeah, I know both of them. Mhm.
So that's a quarterly magazine that agents can pay for, and it's quite expensive, but it's nice that you can get out once a quarter.
Really nice.
Consumers, right? Well, it is really nice. However, it's very generic, right? On the cover page, you get a little thumbnail picture. That's you. And the cover page is pretty much the same for everybody except for their picture. And then on the inside, you get kind of like a letter from the editor, which is from you. And then the rest of the magazine is the rest of the magazine. And all 400 agents that sign up for that magazine, send that out, sends the exact same magazine out every month. So you don't have any customizable abilities to that. Now, the difference between our magazine and their magazine is that one, ours isn't as thick, and we're not a magazine print shop. Okay. However, where ours varies is ours is fully customizable. You can put your listing information, you could put your team information in there, right? So I'm going to bring it up on the screen real quick.
Sounds good.
Lead generation. Yep. Okay. Share screen. All right. So I went back into designs, and on the left-hand side, underneath lead generation, the very last thing says personally branded magazine. Okay. So what KW does is that once a quarter, we produce a magazine for you to use. So what you'll see here is first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, which was the summer, right? And we're getting this October, this month, we'll release quarter four's magazine, okay? For you to go in and utilize for your business. So you would come in here and say, okay, here's the summer one. I'm sure coming out of summer, but I'm just gonna show you how to use it. I will click use. And it's gonna look like that listing presentation. The formatting, the usage is going to be the same, right? Give it a second to load. You'll see that it's 22 pages. Now, the difference here is that they give you multiple options on your cover page. There's like 4 different cover pages that they'll give you to use, right? So you see there's this one, there's this one. I need these inserts. This one, there's 3 different cover pages. So I would delete whatever cover page I wasn't going to use. Would not want to include all 3 cover pages. That's a little silly, right? And then the first page after the initial cover page is your information, right? You, the agent, or you, the team rainmaker, right? That's what shows up on page 4. Okay. Right. A note from the leader, right? And then as you scroll through, you've got production stats that you can incorporate, your quarter in review, tell your success story, right? That's specific to you. Then there are articles in there, right? Vacation tips. That's generic content. Now, some people go in there and rewrite these things. I think that's kind of crazy. I don't need to do that. But the nice thing is that if there was vacation tips and maybe I had a, I think they still exist. Do travel planners still exist? I think they still actually do. Right, I'm showing my age again. If I had a great travel planner, right, on this page for vacation tips, I might add a text box with a link to the website for my vacation planner, right? Interested in taking a vacation with these tips? Go call Shamika at Lane Vacation Packages or click her website link here, right? You could add that right here down the space by hitting a text box and then just typing into that text box. And here's where the value in that is for you. Now you're advertising her business, and maybe she splits the cost of printing these things with you. Can I do that in Reminder Media? Can I do that in American Lifestyle Magazine? No, I cannot, because their advertising dollars go to them, don't they? So
Right.
just another little thing that most people will see this and go, oh, that's cute, that's nice. And they don't think, here's where I can take it. Here's the things that I could create a whole vendor page if I wanted to, right? Because when you guys are in business, what do? You want to be the center portion of a person's home life experience. What does that mean? I need a landscaper. Right there, buddy. All right, like if I need a landscaper, who do I call? I'm calling Stan. Stan always knows who for me to call. I need a painter. Who do I got to call? I'm gonna call Dave. Dave always has somebody. I need an architect because I'm putting on an addition. Laura's always got somebody. So you can advertise these people in your work by just adding and customizing some of these pages. That's incredible value, right? I actually carry this around with me. You won't be able to see it real well. But this is an example of an actually printed magazine that Christine Cahoon did for Cahoon Real Estate down out of Richmond, right? She fully edited this. She printed it off. She advertises her team. Okay. Hold on one second. Video. Turn up my blur. Right. Here's what she did. She just took the magazine, and some of it is the generic content, right? The articles there. And then she edited out the other pages for her content, featured agents, featured listings, production. Right? Her logos, QR codes to her websites or her partners, her recognition for being in awards, right? KW branding, right? Because that has to be on everything. She rocked all of this out through here. Now, this is not as thick as American Lifestyle. But guess how much this costs?
I'm anxious.
It's free. Everything in Command is free, right? It's free. The only cost to her is printing these off. So there's a company, once you design it and you download it, all right, here's a partnership that I've set up for you guys. It's in chat, brandcode.com. It's a marketing company. They're an approved vendor of KW. It's something that I've been working with for over 10 years. Okay. They will print these for you. You send them your print, your PDF, they'll put a nice cover finish on it, right? They will print these and they will drop ship them to your office. So you have Popeyes. So you can give these to your consumers or you can stick them in the mail. They don't do direct mail yet, but they will print them. Give me 50, give me 25, give me 100, whatever that you have. Okay. Guess how much they charge to print these for you? $1.50 a piece.
Not bad.
Amy, how much would you pay to print a magazine or any of your listing prices or anything that you send out to your print shop? What does that cost?
I mean, I thought that would be way, I feel like that's way less. I mean, if you take it to like the UPS store or something, it's like $1 for one page.
Correct. Right. So
So Dave, how much is the postage about?
oh, that depends. I use these as Popeyes and I hand them out, right? Right. So you're gonna have to mail them out. They don't really weigh much. So you're gonna have a little bit, you have to buy some envelopes if you're gonna mail them. They're not gonna direct mail for you.
Okay.
But it's not much. They're not heavy. My personal opinion, right? That would be if whether you're a Buffini person or not, hand them out. Right? They're coffee table stuff. Right? Give them in the hands of your consumers. Right? It's a great reason to stop by and see somebody and hand them their magazine, right? And get in front of them. Right? Put them in a doctor's office, put them in a lawyer's office. Right? Wherever those relationships revolve around. I love the magazine. I absolutely love the ability for you guys to use this. Right? And the cool thing is we provide them for you once a quarter. So you just got to go in there, find an Amy in your world who's going to design it for you and lay it all out. All right. Maybe Amy opens up a side shop. Who knows? I don't know. Right. But there's always people that are willing to do things to help. Or you just realize that, hey, I got to take a little bit of time over there. When the quarterly magazine comes out, maybe I need to work on it over the next 5 days to get it to where I want it. Okay. Budget a little bit of time. Budget a little bit of time to work in your business. Lead generation is important, but these are things that are important too. Do you like this?
Yeah, I like it because I use Reminder Media now, so I do like it.
Oh, awesome. So let's be honest, okay? What do you pay for Reminder Media right now?
About $4 a magazine, including postage.
There you go, $4 a magazine, including postage. I just told you these were $1.50 per. Right, so you could send out 4 of these to one of those. Fair?
I like
I love it.
Now, print out, go in your office, create one, print it off, see what it looks like. Understand that there is a difference, right? We're not a magazine company. I'm not comparing apples to apples. I'm telling you that there's a cost of doing business. And I think this is incredibly valuable that I might consider, because you have to ask yourself, how much business are you getting because you put those magazines? Are you, right? How many leads do you get because of that magazine? Would you lose business because you swapped magazines? I can't really answer that for you. Only you can. Maybe you run them simultaneously and test them out and get feedback from your consumers and say, hey, I know this is a little different, but what did you think? I don't know. I just know that most agents can't afford to pay for Reminder Magazine.
Yeah, because it's expensive.
It is expensive. And this is a great cost point to get in, and I could get it out in front of more people for less. That's why I like it. Just Little food for thought.
So I just want to be sure. So it's templates. So you went into personally branded.
Print. Okay, lead generation on the left. And at the bottom of it, it's personally branded magazine.
Right. Okay.
All right, so that's designs, right? You saw that predominantly inside of designs that you can create and customize whatever you want from those templates, right? You can import a design, which we didn't really show you, but if I clicked on the word import instead of create, right, I could import a PDF that I've already created from Canva or somewhere else, right? That's what's on the screen right here, right? So actually what I did was here, I went in and I hit print, but instead of print, or I'm sorry, instead of create, I hit import on the upper right-hand side. So I came to this page, right? Here's examples of things that I have in my designs. It's these things like this flyer and some of these different things, this flyer. I imported all of those, right? They're from another source, right? I didn't create these inside of designs. I imported them. And that's the import PDF file right here. And I could edit over top of those designs because I created them. I had the original source. Or I could start from blank, right? And I could choose custom sizes of what I'm trying to design and walk through the process of uploading and formatting, building out my own design without having to use the template, just like I would in Canva. Right, so take your time. And if that's your skill set, I want to use something that's non-templated, you can go in there and do that. All right, so now let's get out of designs. Let me go back to my home page. And I'm going to walk you through the other option over the next half hour. Which we call campaigns. Okay. I'm going to show you what's in there and I'm going to focus on a paid ad, but again, it's something else you can kind of play with. But on the left-hand side, you have campaigns. And I'll put a link to the articles of support inside a chat for you for campaigns. Now, when we get to campaigns, I'm going to kind of walk you through a couple of things that are on this page. Across the top, you've got your dashboard, which is where you'll land originally, right? There are paid ads, right? So that's that pay-per-click through Facebook or Instagram or Google or Twitter. Okay, I'll walk you through that. There are emails. Direct mail, I'm not going to cover for you today. I don't know if anybody does direct mail, but it's here, right? It's very easy to use. You can click on there. And you, again, anything I'm showing you, I encourage you to walk through setting it up, see what it looks like. Does anybody on here do just listing, just sold postcards? No? Okay. I don't either, but a lot of people still do. And if you did, you could do that directly, direct mail through here. And the cool thing about this is that it actually will send them out for you. Right. So if I did a just listing or a just sold postcard and I walked through direct mail to create the postcard, I could actually go into a neighborhood, a circumference, pick the houses, boom, shoot those out. We're partnered with a company called Real Mailers, and they will send the postcards out for you. Off the top of my head, I don't know the cost of postage of those things, but when you got to that point, it would tell you. Okay.
And that's just using the your connects in your account, like in your command. Do you get to like pick through tags, or how do you like?
No, that you would go to a map on a radius and say, hey, send these to all the people within a mile around this listing.
Can you do direct mail through your contacts?
I can do direct targeting advertising through Facebook. And I believe, I haven't done it, but I believe I could actually upload a list, like a spreadsheet, and said, hey, send it to these people. Most people, again, most people, if we're doing a just list or just sold, are doing it to an area and not necessarily to a specific audience, right? Because you're trying to generate other business in that farm, right? If I send it to everybody in my database, it may or may not apply to where they live. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying the mindset traditionally is around farming for business in the area of where I sold that listing. Again, that's my thought process. I haven't tried to upload a list. I'd have to, what I would do is I would do a search and answers and see if I can do a custom template, or I would take this direct mail, which I'm not going to walk through in today's class. I would walk all the way through it for the radius area and see if there's a way that I can upload a actual spreadsheet. I just don't know the answer to that for you off the top of my head. Good question though. All right, so we come back to the dashboard. So there's paid ads, which we talked about. There's email campaigns, right? That I can use either the email templates that are inside of designs or I've uploaded and I can create. So if you're familiar with like BombBomb or MailChimp, where you send out to targeted lists, that's what email campaigns allows me to do. I can create a targeted list of people, past clients, old clients, and I can email them a newsletter or an events or a flyer or something like that. That's what emails allow me to do. Okay. Remember, that does apply when you only have 5,000 emails a month. Remember, we talked about that, unless you pay for more. Social posts. So paid ads and emails and direct mail all cost something to a degree. Emails are free up to 5,000. Paid ads, you got to pay. Direct mail, you got to pay. Social posts, which is a direct post to social media, okay, are free. Right? Remember, there's a difference between a boosted ad, which you do pay on your business page, and a pay-per-click ad, which shows up in a Facebook list somewhere to your audience, or just posting something online. That's what a social post is. I'm just posting online. So under social posts, KW provides what are called quick posts, which is something that's already created for you, right? Big goals. Let's just say I was going to use this. There's a shuffle. I can look at other ones, right? And you can look through those and say, hey, what else have already designed for me? Okay, I like this one. Obviously, there's some dated information here, so it would be update that information, right? But if I wanted to just quick share this to my Facebook page, I could just click hit share. This is what it looks like. That's the flyer, right? On the left-hand side, you'll see that it's already connected to my business page. Do you remember I told you on day one, you have to have a business page? So it's connected to my business page. The content is already there, which I can edit if I choose, but somebody's already designed it. So I'm gonna be very careful what I'm actually editing. I can add additional emojis in here. You see there's an emoji heart there. People like emojis. If you're not an emoji person, I'm gonna be very direct with you, get over it. The consumers like them, right? The consumers like emojis. And the numbers don't lie. People engage with more posts that have emojis. So get over yourself on that one, okay? Now, can I over emojicize? You sure can, right? So be careful how many, right, you put out there. Compliance, you've got your ownership statement. When do I want this post, which you're seeing on the right-hand side, it's live, right? When do I want that to go out? I can schedule it. I can either publish immediately or I can schedule a time and a day for that to go out, right? And that'll show up on my business page. Doesn't go to your personal page. It'll go to your business page. Cannot advertise from command on my personal page. Okay. So that's why we talked about on day one, you have to have a business page. You have to have a business page to do quick posts. You also have to have a business page to do paid advertising. Now, remember, when you do paid advertising, it doesn't actually show up on your business page, but you have to be a business owner to run pay-per-click ads. So that's a subtle difference there, okay? Then I would literally just schedule this post and boom, it's off and running. Again, I would test these out because you can test it. If you don't like it, you can take it off your Facebook page. But play with these and walk through them. Now, this layout works exactly the same, right? These social posts, and you would see your calendar. Like I could build something for every day to go out and schedule it and forget it, which is great. So I would look at that schedule there. Now, I'm going to go to paid ads because if you can do this, you can pretty much do the rest of them too. Okay. Across the top for paid ads, you see anything you've run, any advertising? I haven't done anything in a while. I've been focused on training, but you'll see that if I generated leads, right? I ran this campaign for 10 days. I got 17 leads off of running this, right? And here's the 17 people that came into my database because I ran that campaign. So that's why you run campaigns. Typically, you're going to run a campaign in support of an open house or just listed or just sold or price adjustment. It's a cost of doing business. Your consumers do expect it. But as I said on day one, this should not be your primary source of generating leads. Right? If you rely on this to generate leads, you're going to struggle. Okay, because the conversion rate of a have not met, which this ultimately is, you haven't met these people, they just click through and you capture their information, is about 1 to 3% every 18 months. So while it's good to do them, it's not a good for them to be your primary lead source. That makes sense.
Yes.
Now let's talk about how do we build one of these things. Very,
Do
very
you
simple.
mind just clicking on that 17 leads? Was it give like all their information? Like, is it just?
They're all in my database now. Or they all come in, right? I got their email, their phone number.
Okay.
And
That was
now
automatic. That happened because they clicked and filled their information in.
they clicked through and gave their information, because I'll show you this in a minute.
Okay.
Facebook has a capture, right? Some people can just click and bounce. You won't get those information, but if they click through and say, you know, I want more information, that's their registration approval that you capture their information. They
Okay.
come in as a lead, they come in the command, and they're now in your command contact card. Okay,
So I have to go through Facebook and set all this up. Wow.
you're gonna do it all in command. The only thing you have to have is a Facebook business page.
Right.
And it's better to do it through command, because the way that Facebook looks at Keller Williams through their advertising is one company. The way if you run ads directly on Facebook, it looks at you as one company. So
Right.
your cost is higher. Right? Your average spend, your cost per click is higher as an individual than it is on the placements of ads through KW.
Yeah, I've built my own channels and funnel systems, and this is very convenient.
It's incredibly convenient. Now, you don't have all the controls. You're going to see that in a minute that you have on Facebook, but I will tell you again, for the masses, it does very, very well. All right, so let's take a look. Create campaign. Now, you do have to have a payment structure in place. You're going to have to have a credit card on file, because here's what they do. If I say that I'm going to spend $30 over the next 10 days, okay, I'm not paying KW, I'm actually paying Facebook. And Brian, here's one of the subtle differences. If I run an ad on Facebook and say I'm going to spend $30 over 10 days, it chips away at that $30 while it's generating ads. But because KW is a conduit and a pass through, what ultimately do is they take the $30 up front and they pay Facebook directly. Right? There is no chipping away at that $30. Now, at the end of the campaign, let's say I spent 27 of that $30. I now have a $3 credit for my next Facebook run. You don't get a refund. I'm just going to tell you. Facebook does, or KW does not hold your money, and they don't refund your money. They just pass through. They don't take any of your money either, right? They don't take a percentage. A lot of these other companies that say, hey, we'll run leads for you, we run ads for you, they all get paid by lead generation, and they upcharge your cost per click. That's how they make money. KW doesn't do that. So your cost per click is also lower here, because it's true to whatever the cost was to generate the lead through Facebook, and KW takes none of it. So you don't say, hey, my cost per click is $2, but KW is taking 50 cents, so therefore it's $2.50. We don't do that. Most other companies will. Okay. All right. So now you'll see here, I clicked a new campaign. It's going to ask me, what am I running? Email, direct mail, social, or social post. In this case, I'm going to run a social ad. Okay. Just give it a name. And what am I doing? I'm going to advertise a listing. Understand, when you're running an advertising, the highest level of engagement is around listings. Right? If I advertise a listing, I'm attracting both buyers and sellers. Right? If I advertise for brand awareness, which is means I'm just going to do and advertise my company, you're not going to get a lot of click-throughs. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it because it's brand awareness, but that's your cost. You're not capturing an audience. You're just getting your name out there. Okay. Event awareness. Maybe I'm running a investor seminar or buyer seminar. Your capture is going to be lower because it's very specific, but the people that register are going to be, your conversions are going to be higher. They want to come to an investment seminar. They want to come to a first-time buyer seminar. So understand the audience that you're trying to attract, right? Attract talent. If I'm looking to hire somebody, it's like running an Indeed ad, right? So understand what you're trying to do. Traditionally, agents are advertising a listing because they're trying to attract buyers and sellers. I don't necessarily do attract buyers. I'm gonna advertise a listing because advertising a listing is going to get me both, right? Buyers and sellers. If I advertise a listing, I'm getting buyers because like, hey, I want that house. But you're also going to get sellers because sellers think you're selling that house. Just food for thought. Where am I going to run this campaign? Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, right? You have to have those accounts connected for it to identify that you're going to run these accounts. Understand this. I think it is best. I could build this right now and run it all on all three platforms, but recognize how things look on different platforms look differently. They look different on Instagram than they do on Facebook. I recommend if you want to do a direct ad on Facebook, then you do a direct ad on Facebook. If you're going to do an ad on Instagram, then you do a direct ad on Instagram. That's my personal recommendation. Okay. Now, other thing to know, while you also have to have a Facebook business page to run these ads, you also have to have an Instagram business page to run ads. There's a setup, there's an article. I think it's in here. Let me find it. There you go. Brand new article, because I knew this was a recent change. And this is an Instagram change, okay? Because they're owned by Facebook, just in case you didn't know. You have to have your Instagram profile has to have a business association with it. So here, their article that I just posted was how to do it, how to turn that into a business page. It's something you have to have, okay? All right, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna do a Facebook ad here. Advertise the listing. So now I'm gonna have this builder page that's gonna show up. Now it's gonna ask me, because I told it I'm advertising a listing, it's gonna ask me, what's the listing? I can search by property address, I can search by agent, I can search by MLS. So let's just go ahead. I could search by active, coming soon, sold. So I've got functions in here to look at different things. And then so say all my listings or only my listings are all listings. All right. Bless you.
Thank you.
Just gonna grab a property in Falls Church. Looks at by street. Remember, this is by address, so it's not looking at by city. But I'm just going to go ahead and just grab Falls Church. We'll just grab this one, Falls Church Square. Select, and this is a rental one, whatever. Now, what happens is on the left-hand side is my builder. On my right-hand side is what the person online would actually see. So you're seeing your ad being built in real time in a preview format. All right, so on the left-hand side, I've got my listing that I just selected. It automatically pulled in the copy from the MLS. So you can edit that. All right, so just showing you different emojis that you can put in here and you can insert those anywhere on here, okay? Use the emojis. Headline. Well, the market's changed, but for a while this was true, right? And you see that dropped right here, won't last long. Up here is the sponsored ad, come see this amazing home with my emojis. You see it's updating in real time. Okay, and then a description of the property. It gives you suggestions that you could use, okay? Or you could type your own, your choice. Again, you can use emojis. See that dropped in right there. Okay, save that. Now I'm gonna go into my Facebook settings. All right, my account and my page. You have to select your page. Remember, this is a paid ad. It just has to identify a page. It's not gonna show up on your page. I think I get that call more times than not. Hey, I'm running a Facebook ad and it's not showing up on my page. Pay-per-click will not show up on your page. They're showing up on the target audience's page. It's not a boosted post. It's showing up the general public of the audience that you told it who needs to see it. Okay? Now, the next question is Facebook lead generation or site landing page. I'm always going to tell you it's best to use that Facebook lead generation page. Amy asked earlier, how did it capture that information? If you direct them to a landing page, they're going to bounce. They're used to the capture page through Facebook, and Facebook does a very good job of capturing their information. So I always recommend that their destination, when they click for more information, is the Facebook lead generation capture. Okay. The button label says learn more, right? Now the question, and this is what's nice, is behind this learn more button, where does it go? If I click learn more, where does it go? So here's what I'm going to recommend to you guys. Use your websites. Mine happens to be daviddonaldson.com. What was the address for this? 42745 Falls. So I look up the property, 42475. That's for it. Falls View. Two 745. Typed it wrong. Okay, search. Might have grabbed something that was not currently active, but anyways, I can grab any property, but you would grab the actual property. Let's just pretend for a second that this is the actual property. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using a listing landing page from my own website, which is the best way to go about it. That when they click on learn more, it'll say send them to that page. That's what you want them to do. You want them, because if they go to that listing on your website versus a standalone website, okay, a standalone website is just one page. And if that's not what they want to see, they're going to leave. If you send them to the listing on your website, they can go look at other properties in the area. That's why I do it that way. Okay, so this link takes them to my website. Now I get to determine the audience. I can do it around a listing, right? This recognizes the listing is in Leesburg, but remember, I don't have to advertise this listing around Leesburg. I can advertise the listing anywhere I want, right? Maybe I knew a bunch of people were moving from Seattle and buying property in Leesburg. Then I could advertise this listing in Seattle. Don't have to advertise it where the listing is, right? You have that control to determine where I'm going to run this ad. Okay, but for this case, I'm going to leave it around Leesburg, okay? And what's the radius? I can go as low as 15 miles or as high as 50. That's all I can do, okay? So that's setting your audience, okay? Save that. In my lead settings, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go back to Facebook settings real quick, sorry. So that's an auto audience. It's just going to populate into that particular area and add to that radius. I can create a custom audience. So custom audiences, I could get more specific, right? Did you guys know that most people will tell Facebook what they like? I like luxury. I like cars. I like do it yourself. I like Zillow. I like real estate. I like architecture. People tell these things to Facebook. Did you know that? So I can use a custom audience, okay, around Leesburg, and I can add those interests and choose them from that list inside of Facebook. So I could say, hey, advertise this listing of mine to people that are interested in those things. I happen to know what some of them are. I think my load time is preventing. Typically, I would see all the interests here on the page. They would come in the list here. I think it's just slow to load. Once I hit those here, so now I know that anybody that likes these things will control who's seeing my ad. Okay. Now that's saying, hey, if they like luxury or like do-it-yourself, it'll show up in their advertising. I can narrow that saying, hey, they like luxury or do-it-yourself, and they like architecture. So now it'll be, they like luxury or do-it-yourself and architecture, right? So I could save that search for use of a later time, or I could just do it as a one-off and hit save, right? The other thing that I can do, and if you've run these ads before, you'll kind of understand this. At the top here, I've got a custom audience, which I just created, which is anybody on Facebook that meets this criteria, my listing will show up in front of, okay? Or I can do a target audience. So I can create a target audience based off of my list of people in my command, okay, that I have in my database. And if I have, and this goes back to day one, why did I download all those social media profile pages? If I have their profile pages connected to their account and I have their email address in my account, I could actually go in and build a target audience, okay, inside by clicking a new audience. I can filter by tags, I can filter by neighborhoods, okay, and I can make sure that this listing shows up in front of those people. Now, the success to running a targeted ad is 100 people. But if I just ran it for 13 people, I'm not going to get a lot of traction. But if I had 100 people that met a certain criteria, I could build a target audience around that and publish this. And so instead of publishing it in a radius, I'm publishing it to a specific audience. So maybe I run two ads. One's going to a specific audience and one's going to a targeted list of people that are already in my database, which is great if I have a targeted list of people in my database that live in a certain area like Leesburg, or a farm like Pemmon Hills or Falls Church. I lose everybody?
No.
Good. Most of you the first time around are probably just going to do an auto audience or maybe a custom audience around building it based off of their likes, not necessarily the audience, because you probably hadn't loaded everybody in the Facebook pages into your command yet. Now the lead settings at the bottom are going to ask me this. When they come in, what do I want them to be tagged? Right? I want to tag them. What are they? I want to tag them as a Facebook lead. Facebook tag in my system. If not, it's surprising. There you go. Facebook ad campaign. So that's what they're going to be tagged when they come into my system. They'll automatically be tagged. So I know that they came in from Facebook. Okay. You might even get more specific than that. You might go in and create a tag that says Facebook ad 42745. So I know that they came in for that specific advertisement, not just Facebook in general. Right. So I could create a tag for that.
Can you do more than one?
No, one tag.
One tag. Okay.
I think. Nope, I'm wrong. You can do multiples. Look at that.
Okay.
And here's the cool thing. I can also then auto fire a smart plan. So we have got these auto triggers. So the moment this lead comes in, if I build a smart plan that's for Facebook follow-up, that smart plan starts the moment that lead comes in and has that tag for fish. So if you think back yesterday to smart plans, I know I didn't go to that degree because we kept it simple, but there are Facebook follow-up smart plans as well. If I use those Facebook follow-up smart plans, the moment a new lead comes in and it's auto tagged with this, and I said auto tag fire that smart plan, then that happens. So maybe that first step of that new lead is say, Laura, you've got a new lead, they need to be called. Or maybe that first step is, Laura, you got a new lead, we're sending out this text. And then the second step is you need to follow them up with a call, right? Because speed the lead. Right? So the moment they click in, maybe a text shoots out that says, hey, Amy, thanks for registering for our listing on Facebook, Tatiana's gonna be reaching out to you in the next 10 minutes. Right, and then also maybe the next step might be, hey, download our mobile app for other information or search bar, whatever that looks like. You build your smart plan to go and engage with that listing, right? That's just a really cool thing, right? Save that. I'm just gonna connect one for the sake of connecting one. Save. And then the last thing is duration and budget. I know we're running a couple minutes long, but that's okay. How long do I want to run it? Well, here's the thing. If I run a Facebook ad for one day, it's a waste of money. Facebook will tell you that the best captures are 7 to 10 days in running their ads. Now, if you're doing an open house, it may be hard to run something for 7 to 10 days. So try to get yourself at least 5, right? 1 to 3 is just too small of a sample size, and you won't get the capture rate that you were hoping for. You're going to advertise a listing, which is great for your consumer, but you're not going to get the captures that you're looking for. So try to plan well enough in advance and know what your steps are for advertising. Like if I'm going to do an open house on Sunday and I'm running my Facebook ad on Friday, I'm going to tell you not to bother for 2 reasons. 1, it's too short of a run. And 2, Facebook needs 24 hours to approve your ad. Okay, so you've got to give yourself time to run these things. Then I can say, what's my budget? Right, I'm going to spend $30 bucks. Right, I can do it by channel. If I had selected Facebook and Instagram, I could tell it to spend the money evenly across 2 channels, or I could say, hey, run the money and spend the money where it's running the best. I only picked Facebook for this particular ad, but if I picked Facebook and Instagram, the algorithms on the other side will say, hey, this ad is running better on Facebook, so we're going to run it more on Facebook. Or it's running better on Instagram, we're going to run it more on Instagram. Sound good? And the other thing I didn't show you that Facebook will also do under media. So I'm going to jump back real quick. You see, it pulled the first picture, but you actually have the ability to add up to 5 more pictures. It's got all the pictures that from the listing are there, or you could upload a picture. If I put 5 pictures up, right, you'll have a cascading effect. But Facebook will also run the ads and surface the picture that it's getting the best amount of click-throughs. So it's smart enough in the back end to do that. So I don't have to manage those. So it's just another little nice little thing to have. Then I could either save the draft or I could publish the campaign. Again, you've got to give yourself 24 hours. So if I need to go out today, I better post it yesterday, because sometimes Facebook flags since they're getting really, Facebook is getting incredibly scrutinized over advertising. Words that are used, verbiage that is used. I mean, we all have friends that have ended up in Facebook jail for no real reason other than Facebook misunderstood what they were actually saying, right? So you have to allow yourself time, right, to run the ad or make any corrections to the ad so it runs. So if I know I'm going to run an ad, I'm always giving myself where I'm going to go out and I'm going to schedule it, right, in advance. I don't want to schedule it to run for tomorrow. I might build it today to start running next Tuesday or next Monday. I want to make sure that it gets approved so that it can run. I don't want to build it and pray that it gets approved and it runs tomorrow and find out that it didn't run tomorrow and I have to make a correction. Always prepare and give yourself time. Okay, then you would publish the campaign, which obviously I'm not going to do because I just kind of hacked my way through this. Do you like this? Do you think it's easy? Do you realize that you kind of go and play around with this a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, David, will we find all of that Facebook information in the knowledge base as well?
All of it. Yeah. Remember, I put the link.
Yeah, I have.
All right, so I put a link for campaigns, and it'll talk about the different campaigns. And there's like you literally can go into. I search for Facebook ads. And it'll tell you why is it not generating leads. So it gives you some best practices. Find and manage Facebook and Instagram. Connect your Facebook account, right? So if I just here's your Facebook advertising for all the quick links around Facebook advertising. Now remember, there are other things you can do too. Here's what's great about Keller Williams is that agents love to help other agents. So if you literally went to YouTube and typed in Facebook advertising Keller Williams, you're going to see a lot of different agents sharing their best practices. There's a Facebook group. I'll give you that right now, actually. If I just go to my Facebook page, give me 1 second, and that I recommend for everybody. And so I love one of my fellow regional tech trainers' name is Nick Baldwin. And Nick does an amazing job generating and converting leads through Facebook advertising. He's done boatloads of them and has had a tremendous amount of success, and he shares that success. It's called Command Your Conversion. So here's the link to that page. And literally what people do in here is share ads that they've run and what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. Because there's a lot of trial and error in lead generation and advertising. There's nothing I can tell you to say, hey, if you run this, you're going to have a gluttony of leads. That's not necessarily true. Different areas, different perspectives, different mindset, different versions, different emojis matter. All you can do is keep testing and trying and see what works for you. So what's great about this group is there's a lot of people that are going in here and talking about what they're doing and what they're running. Right? So kind of check that. It's a great page on top of.
Did you put that in the chat?
I did.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right. So that's today's class. Campaigns and design. It might be the most dynamic thing because there's a lot of unknowns about doing this, and it's the one that I will tell you that's the most important to go in and play around with to get comfortable with. Designs first. Don't worry about Facebook advertising yet. Okay. Get comfortable with your designs, get comfortable with your emails, get comfortable with your listing presentations, your buyer presentations, your magazines, your social media posts. Get comfortable with that skill set. Okay. Facebook is easy. If you happen to do an open house, advertise the open house. I just showed you how to walk through and run one. It's not hard. But don't beat yourself up about it if you don't get 32 leads because you ran an open house ad, right? But here's what I'll challenge you to do, that when you run the open house, ask people how they found it. Be surprised when people, well, I saw it on Facebook. And that's how you know things are working, right? So that's today's class. Tomorrow we're going to do opportunities. So I will not be here tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Jerry Tricky. So Erica, so Jerry will be teaching tomorrow's class. So he's going to need his Facebook login or his Zoom login, right? So he's going to run that class tomorrow. Jerry does an amazing job. One of our Market Center tech traders down in the CWB, right? As you see each day, we're building upon what we learned about the past, right? Things we set up for you in day one, which was have a business page, have your marketing profile, are starting to come into play for you to do these advertisements. That's why we spend so much time talking about an orientation about things that you need, or adding your contacts and showing you how to download Facebook pages so you can run target audience. So everything has a reason why we do it the day before. But I recognize it's overwhelming. It's going to give you time. So giving you that information about how to self-advocate for yourself, where to find that information on all those, those answer pages, to play around with, utilize, customize, and try is how you're going to get successful. But you got to be forgiving of yourself and allow yourself time to figure these things out. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I don't make a lot of flyers because of the disclosures that need to be added, like fair housing and the equal opportunity and all that. Where do I find those things?
And you can just download those logos. Your broker may have them. Your Market Center may have them. Like, you noticed that they were in my branding because I just uploaded.
I did see them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I actually got, you can just do a Google search for fair housing logo and realtor logo and download them.
Okay.
I think that's ultimately what I did, but you could also get them off of NAR, right?
Okay.
You definitely want to be compliant with those things, right? So
Right.
I loaded them to my branded library so that they were there.
I will do that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good question. All right. So you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I won't be here tomorrow, but Jerry will. So have a great week.
You
So
too.
I will not be able to attend tomorrow. Do I get the recording anyway?
Who would like to answer that question?
Yes,
Yes.
I know the answer. I just want to make sure because I'm not going to attend.
Yeah, well, no, so we put all our recordings on our YouTube channel, which is publicly facing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just go to the YouTube channel. It'll be up within 48 hours,
Okay.
give or take.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
So you can't make it tomorrow, but yeah, it'll be up there.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions?
Thanks for the information.
Oh, no problem. That's what we're here for, right? We want you guys to learn. The information is always as good as what you do with it from here.
Right.
No, actually, Brian, since I got a question for you. Since you've been running the Facebook ads, what did you think about all that?
So I run Facebook ads for selling solar panels to a company called City Renewables. So I haven't done it for real estate. Really haven't done anything for real estate, quite honestly. So I'm intrigued that this is just so easy and all in one platform. I'm thinking like to throw like $200. I was going to ask you what you thought was a good amount of like a budget to throw into that, judging from what you have learned. And so I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. But for me, it just like, I know what it takes to like go in and kind of build funnels and just like making sure all your links are like colliding and everything. So just really simplifies it. And the fact that you just, don't have to do stuff on your personal Facebook back end seems convenient. So I think it's cool. I mean, that's kind of what I said to start this day, was that I like how everything is under one umbrella, because the advertisements don't need to be amazing. But I want to start doing videos like 30-minute long videos of touring neighborhoods and just start marketing those videos but in addition to doing listings and buyer advertisements. I just want to start kind of flooding content. And so I'm going to create a budget for that and start curating my own videos with the team, with the video team in the office.
Yeah, as you should, right? If that's a passion of yours, right, then absolutely right. Start creating videos. Those neighborhood videos are great content, right? And they can be scaled down. And that's the great thing about taking larger videos. That you can snip them down. You can run TikToks, right? You can do stories out of them, right? Or you can have a full-length featurette that's on your website or on a YouTube channel. There's all kinds of different ways to utilize those things. And different market centers are starting to have those people in the market center. And we happen to have one in KW United, which is nice. More and more market centers are starting to do that because there is a skill set to that, right? Not everybody has it. Some people need that leverage. And that market center happens to provide it as leverage. But video is definitely the way to go.
I created basically like a George Mason basketball media platform with video, audio, etc. So I've done all these things, built Facebook funnels, done video. I just never did it for real estate. So actually Keller Williams is kind of helping me take everything I've done and actually focus it into my real estate business. And that's actually why I signed on with the office, because I saw who I was. So I appreciate your time throughout this week. Will we see you Friday?
No, Friday will be Scotty. She'll be doing DocuSign on Friday.
So I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the office.
Absolutely. Yeah, you see me around. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great day.
Thank
You
you. You're
too.
the same. Bye.
Thank you.